Okay, so the conversation has started. We've been joined by Barrister Darlington. Good morning to you, Barrister.
Good morning, Moses, and how are you?
Very well, thank you. And right beside Barrister, we have Mr. Akin Fatunke joining us as well. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, folks. Did you say Darlington joined us?
Yes, yes.
Okay, because I thought Darlington was supposed to be an affable, beautiful name, but this Darlington that I'm seeing is smoking at the sides. Good morning, Nigeria.
Well, the conversation is ongoing already, and I would like you.
You didn't tell me that you are going to pair me with my enemy.
No. We're all Nigerians talking for the good of Nigeria, and we'd like you to be part of the conversation. All you have to do really is go to YouTube, click on the subscribe button, and be part of the conversation. Drop your thoughts underneath the live stream. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV, and on all the social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. And in the course of the program, there will be numbers. There will be a number on your screen with which you can send messages, just in case you want to get to us directly. You can send messages, and we just might be able to take your voice as well. This is VOP Television, where you have more than a voice. All right, so let's get into the conversation. Now, the organizers of the recently concluded 10-day nationwide protest in Nigeria, dubbed #EndBadGovernance in Nigeria, have issued an ultimatum to President Bola Tinubu's administration. They warn that if their demands are not fully addressed, they will relaunch the protest on October 1st. Well, the protest, led by the Take It Back movement, was aimed at addressing economic hardship. The movement concluded its 10-day protest on Saturday with a 1 million man march. How successful was that? We will analyze this morning. But they have vowed to return with a 10 million person march on August 1st if their concerns remain unaddressed. Oh well. And this time around, Omoyele Sowore, part of the organizers of the protest, did say this one will not be like the last one. They won't give that much notice. Well, human rights activist Omoyele Sowore, the convener of Revolution Now movement, announced that the organizers of the #EndBadGovernance protest in Nigeria are preparing to take legal action against the Nigerian government. And this comes in response to the attacks, killings, arrests, and the detention of peaceful protesters during the demonstration. Meanwhile, popular singer and activist Charles Oputa, popularly known as Charlie Boy, has declared that a revolution is the only solution to bad governance in Nigeria, stating that the recent protest was merely a rehearsal for what is to come. Well, Chukwuma, when Chukwuma was here, he did say, I mean, in the course of the protest, he did point to the fact that a lot of prominent Nigerians did not join the protesters on the streets of Nigeria. One would have expected a Charlie Boy, even though he's, I think age is beginning to tell on him, one would have expected to see him, as that would have motivated young Nigerians that were on the streets. Omoyele Sowore himself was not seen on the streets of Nigeria, but he was on social media, he was in the media space. Now let's look at the past 10 days. Let me start with you, Mr. Fatunke. The past 10 days, the protest, would you consider it a success? Were Nigerians able to draw government attention to the plight of the common man? Or did Nigerians, or were Nigerians just able to add another paper to the table of government stating that, look, it's another political agenda by certain individuals that intend to form a political party or take over the governance of Nigeria?
I will simply reinforce and consistently so my assessment in the past 10 days. My first assessment came 2 days after I started. So, on national television, and it's on tabloid, you can just check me out. I started clapping. Today, I am saying bravo. My take is that the protests were not only a success, and for the very first time, my perception and my reality, there has never been a protest that has gingered, created fears amongst the ruling class, irrespective. And when I say the ruling class, I'm not only talking about the political class, I'm also talking about the traditional institutions, I'm also talking about the religious institutions, I'm also talking about the NGOs. I will give these protests in terms of the deliverables, which was just for 10 days, I will give it 80%. Thank you.
All right then. Okay, go ahead.
Barrister, while Mr. Fatuke was talking about how he's going to applaud the protest, you know, it was more like you were really in tandem with the line of thought he was sharing over the fact that he says this protest actually was a successful one. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, thank you, Finn and the rest of the crew. My take is that, you know, when something is novel in any environment, people see it as a strange phenomenon. But the protest for me was not just a success. It was a wake-up call for any other leader who thinks that he is invisible. Because you saw a Tinubu who never bothered, who never cared, calling on meeting. In fact, he had meetings with almost everybody except Agberos to come and douse the tension.
Some would say that the reason for government's fidgety disposition was as a result of what happened in 2020, trying to avoid a reoccurrence of the 2020 EndSARS, #EndSARS protest that happened across Nigeria. And do you think that is so?
No, I don't think so. What even brought about the panic on the part of the government was what happened in Kenya. In fact, that was even the motivation. Because when you look at the demand of the protesters and the demand of those people in Kenya, it's almost the same. So, and Tinubu realized that actually what they were protesting is right, that his government is not performing.
Did he?
He acknowledged it, yes.
He acknowledged?
He acknowledged it.
Okay.
He acknowledged it. From his brokers and the one that later happened and other, he acknowledged it.
So does it mean, from the look of things, do you think there'll be any political will for him to be able to address the 15 needed things that the protesters actually called for?
I think he's going to do something, but how far he will go, I don't know. Because some of the things the protesters demanded are not things that you can do immediately. And the Tinubu that I know is not a hands-on president. Largely, he depends on his aides, and these aides are not helping him.
All right, it's interesting you mentioned this, Barrister. I'm going to ask Mr. Fatuke this very direct question. Now, looking at this protest, the both of you on this table have said it was a success. Now, as it stands, how does this protest relate to broader issues of governance and economic hardship in Nigeria? I mean, how does it really relate, basically?
80% is such a past A mark. It has so many ratchet effects, as we say in economics, many demonstration effects. My point is that our underdevelopment over the years, that goes beyond Bola Ahmed Tinubu. This is not about Tinubu. Tinubu is just a minuscule in relation to the Nigerian question. The Nigerian questions, we have been going right, we've been going left, we've been hiding, between the elites and the holoi polloi. Barrister made a point about Kenya. I will also add the issues surrounding the Sahel, not security now. We won't get into that. I'm talking about the military takeover and ECOWAS. I will not look at Tinubu and say that he's not performing. No. When you swim against the tide, when you want to start to jump in a marshland, no matter how you try, you will drown. The Nigerian question needs to be frontally tackled. David, you are asking me. In reality, the protest was a success because it was a protest against hunger, bad governance. It was a protest against kidnapping. It was a protest against kleptomania. It was a protest against us and them in a situation where, like you say in Pareto analysis, 20% or less than 20% sit on the wealth of the land and are flying private jets, their wives and hangers on are doing well, while the rest, as we saw in Kano, I schooled in the north, and I can tell you for free, this is not about Ebola Tinubu, the Talakawas, what people now call out of school children, Jonathan made an attempt and they put that aside. See the effect of what happened in Kano. They raided a library and they were not interested in books. The urchins that we have outside are missiles waiting to happen. So, I am in agreement that Nigeria has to be recalibrated. Nigeria has to be restructured. We have to get back to the drawing board. Look,
No,
the rage of whether Showore is in London, somebody else is elsewhere, Charlie Boy, goes beyond that. We must get back to ask the critical questions. Whether Nigeria is viable, I don't think it's viable on the road that we are treading. I also think Nigeria is capable to be viable when we are able to resolve the leadership and the political questions.
Allow me to butt in at this point. There's a headline from the Punch newspaper. I kept it for this time so I can ask you this question. The headline reads, Hunger Protests, Police Begin Trial of 1,135 Detained Demonstrators. We saw that there was a clampdown on demonstrators. In fact, we saw that the protest went south from day one. You know, I wasn't expecting it to go awry as fast as it did. I was expecting it would build. I was expecting the build up, but we saw that from the get-go, there was, you know, water cannons on protesters hitting back, and then looting in Kano, in Kaduna, in Gombe, you know, around the nation. Now we're hearing that the police wants to try individuals. The organizers of the protests are calling for the release of these protesters that were arrested. We are not hearing about the policemen that may have killed one or two people. One is the 16-year-old that was shot in his apartment by a stray bullet. We have seen some individuals being arrested for sewing the Russian flag, even though the family members have come to say that he never handled a sewing machine. He doesn't even know how to sew. He's into sachet water recycling, you know. And then we also hear about the Polish individuals, 6 students and their teacher, who have been dragged into this. And the Polish embassy saying that they were not part of the protest. They were just individuals in the wrong place at the wrong time. How would you analyze all of this, really? Should we be talking about prosecuting protesters? Or should security agencies be also seen to be prosecuting those that have erred within them as a way of building confidence in the people?
Again, I gave 80%. There's a critical 20%. And if you're not careful, that critical 20% will turn and then make a whole mess of the good things. I am persuaded that my analysis must be balanced. I will not pre-jump. I also know that, unfortunately, people were killed. Some people were killed. I also know that a few police officers got injured, and at least I saw the death of one. So whether you're a policeman or...
we saw,
Which was
we
killed
saw
by
the
the
death
colleague.
of one that was killed by
the colleague.
a police
Please
van, actually.
allow me to land on my thoughts. Okay, so it's not a matter of they and us. As
But
far
it
as
is a
I'm
matter of they and
concerned,
us.
no, seriously. So please, let's be very balanced on this table.
Yes, we
are
will
talking
be balanced.
Nigeria. We are talking Nigeria.
We will be balanced, but we're talking
And
from
I
the point
am
of view
making
of
the point
the
to
citizens
you.
of Nigeria.
Please allow me to. Okay, all right.
Go ahead,
So let me
please.
make my point.
Go ahead, please.
I am saying, you read a report that says that some people were arrested
And so prosecuted.
are going to be prosecuted. Do you know who they are? Did we not have funny people infiltrate? And if these funny people, some of the things we saw, and I think as pressmen, all Nigerians saw the fact that these people infiltrated, whether you are going to tell me that they were sponsored by government or they were sponsored by opposition, they infiltrated. And many of these people were arrested. Some of these people might have been arrested. So let us wait and get that investigation properly. I will be the last that will ever support that innocent Nigerian, the 80% success. Because the message here is that 80% success that is made, the federal government, the state governors, the National Assembly, and the state assemblies, all sitting at Tita's end. I do not know until that investigation comes out and I see. Because when I saw a few people in Daura and they went to government offices, I saw people in Kano, went to private individuals. You
All
do
right,
not
let's-
expect that.
let's move the
You do not
conversation.
expect that
Let's move the
security
conversation
agencies are going to leave them
All
on
right, then.
account of
Thank you
whatever.
very much, Mr.
Yes.
Akin. Now, Barrister, let me come to you now. It's still on the issue of prosecuting protesters. My question to Mr. Akin was, shouldn't we see the police of the police institution prosecute those that also released live ammunition on protesters? But he didn't respond to that one. But that's fine. Let's take your thoughts now on this. Bearing in mind that in places like Lagos, we saw a situation whereby certain individuals on Mufti, I don't know if you should call them hoodlums, touts, or policemen on Mufti. I don't know. Because we saw them harass protesters, harass journalists in the presence of police personnel, and nothing was done. They were not even picked up as well. So what are we talking about? Your thoughts, please.
Yes, if you want to balance your investigation, that is the way to go. Because the people you are alleged to have looted or caused rioting and all that, did you ask yourself what precipitated it? The security agencies went overboard, and that angered the protesters.
Can you be a little more specific as to where that happened?
Good. In Niger State, it was alleged that some people blocked the road. You don't go shooting because some people block the road. There are 1,001 ways to dislodge them from that road. It's as simple as that. That was where this thing started. Somebody was shot because they claimed our security agents, they need to go for a refresher course on how to manage protests. We saw what happened even in UK recently. It was even more violent. Please, did you hear that somebody was shot? Please, did you hear?
But we had lootings and other things.
That's what I'm saying. I said it was worse. In UK, one of the most civilized countries in this world. Did you hear that the police shock anybody
Now, Barrister,
So
what does the
that's the
law
excuse.
actually say
Sorry.
about this? Because we have the IGP of police coming up to say that they did not use any lethal force on protesters. But we actually heard that, you know, water cannon were used, which actually even led to, you know, anger and death of a police officer and, you know, triggers that happened. And we also could recall that the protesters or the organizers wrote to the police to be able to, you know, send policemen, officers to protect those who are protesting when they got the information about infiltrators that would try to destabilize the peaceful protest in Nigeria.
Please, whenever we are discussing issues of this nature, don't believe in what any government official is telling you, because they can never tell you the truth. When they were going through their training, I can't imagine that truth was included in their curricula. That is why they will never tell you the truth. We just told you here now what happened in UK. Is it not the same police in UK that you have here? You can see that the orientation is different.
So what is the potential consequences of all of these actions from security operatives as against protesters?
It will continue. The same brigandage will continue, because our security agencies, especially the police, who are supposed to protect the people, they have turned themselves into an army of occupation.
All right.
Whenever little things happen here, they take side. Like what happened at Ojota. When police saw hoodlums with machete, they were just there standing side by side with them, and no arrest was made.
All right.
What does that tell you? So let me even make this point clear. Let nobody make excuses for Tinubu. He told us that he prepared for this job for 30 years. He said it with his own mouth, that we should not pity him. As a matter of fact, it was a leader that built China, Chairman Mao. It was a leader that built USA, George Washington, UK, and all that. So
Could it be that what he met on ground wasn't what he expected? Could it be that he's been overwhelmed?
Please, whatever, Chairman Mao met a worse Chinese economy than what you are seeing in Nigeria today. I mean, a worse. It is your ability as a leader to put your foot down.
Are we even expecting too much? Because one of the demands of the protesters is the collapse of the legislature. Doing away with the Senate, where we have 109 individuals, and staying with the House of Representatives with 360 of them. Is that something that can be achieved?
It is not the problem. Let me tell you, if you take care of the penny, the pounds will take care of itself. If the leadership is good, I am telling you, it will trickle down.
We have been also hearing.
It will trickle down. But when the leader is not even, doesn't have any record that can sell Nigeria to the outside world, what are you talking about?
All right, Mr. Aki, at this point, I want to ask, how do you respond to criticisms that the government is not doing enough to address the economic hardship of Nigeria as it stands?
Too little, too late. Like the Bourbons of France would say. Bad example, bad character. Even if you have the best of intention, when people don't see you leading from the head, like Professor Tahir of blessed memory would have said, that is the crux of the matter. Nigerians, unlike, I disagree with Barrister Darlington, we've always had hunger. Yes, it's exacerbated. We've always had kidnap. It has exacerbated. I am not even sure that we are practicing democracy. I keep on saying, go and bring an angel. Bring an angel 8 years ago, bring an angel 16 years ago, in this same vehicle that we believe we are going to, we are not going to get anywhere. And that is the truth. For Bola Tinubu administration specifically, I believe some wrong moves were made. We needed to correct the economy. The economy was in doldrums. Everybody was agreed. But it's just the method and the style. Unfortunately, I think Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu started counting the eggs before they were hatched by the very bad example that I saw. And it's not just Bola Tinubu. Where I keep on, I must also make everybody understand. It's not just Bola Tinubu, yes, but the state governors themselves are also culpable. And the whole aspect of governance that we call democracy is not working for Nigeria. Before we get in there, you made an allusion, and I think it was Moses that made an allusion that, constitutional reforms. Constitutional reforms are not going to be effected on the streets. We still have to come to a round table, do a dialogue, which I see, because what I said, 80%, the pictures are already coming out now, and I see a situation where we all have to come back to the drawing table. They say, okay, you have to release Nnamdi Kanu. I have been a proponent of pleading that Nnamdi Kanu be released. But if the protesters are out there saying that unless you release Nnamdi Kanu, oh, come on. Those are some of the coloration that if we do not handle and balance properly, will torpedo. And my brother at, Charlie Boy is now talking about revolution. What is revolution now? Revolution 20 years ago or revolution in future? We all must sit together and resolve this critical question of our politics. It is a politics that is not going to get us anywhere. It is something that we must unravel and untangle and take critical decisions on pathway forward.
It's interesting he did mention the fact that the call for the release of Nnamdi Kanu seemed to be some kind of coloration by the protesters, because these were his words. But then, the question I want to ask at this point is, how can the protesters balance the demands of what is the reality presently as against what should be done by this present administration?
The case of Nnamdi Kanu is injustice, nothing else. Injustice. Maybe because of where he came from and all that. Because you and I know that people have done 10 times worse things than Nnamdi Kanu in this country. And they are walking about free. I mean, free. That is why everybody now sees Nnamdi Kanu's case as injustice, both within and outside. Because you claim that IPOB is a terrorist organization. But the court have said no. They even asked that you should pay them money. No other country anywhere in the world have called Nnamdi Kanu a terrorist or IPOB a terrorist organization. It's only the Buhari that did that. What does that tell you? Are you telling me that you know more about terrorists than US and UK and Western countries? Are you telling me that you know more than them? Then these other people who are doing all these things, they are what? They are, what's it called, Boy Scouts. So these are the issues. Except we have a leader, and I know that one day that leader will come, that will deal with these buccaneers. Now, they are the problem. You see, it is very wrong when you come in as a leader of a country, and you are now signing agreements and undertaking with different characters, just because you want to remain in power.
So do you think
you are going to succeed?
Barrister, do you think that all these issues you just made mention of now can actually lead to what Charlie Boy talked about when he made mention of revolution? And also remember that the protesters have said that by 1st of October, that what happened 1st of August to 10th of August was more like a rehearsal to what will happen from 1st of October, which happens to be our Independence Day. So are you also of the opinion that this particular one might lead to that revolution that Charles?
Because of our tribal inclinations, it may not be successful, because these people have learned to play sentiment with our fault lines.
But in 2020, that was hashtag end bad police brutality.
It was a segment of the security agencies, the SARS, police. It was not about the federal government of Nigeria. It was all about the police and their brutality. But this particular one now that involves a president in Aso Rock, who is of a Yoruba stock, my dear, you saw what happened here in Lagos now. You saw what happened here. Sentiment will come in. That is why I'm telling you that all this thing that Nigeria cannot work, even if an angel comes, is a lie. When a real person comes, and I want to direct your attention to what happened in Anambra. Before P2B came on board, you saw what Anambra was going through from Mbadunuju to Ngige. The Oba brothers were holding Anambra in bondage. Everybody saw it. P2B came in, a quiet gentleman. He cleared everything. Did you hear the Oba brother talking to Peter throughout his tenure? That was why he was able to perform. All those people who were holding Anambra in bondage,
All right.
Peter B dealt with them.
All right, let me
He dealt
come
with them. He didn't go and collect money and come and they, like
as we
they used to do.
as
When
we
they bring money
come
from Abuja, they will put it on
Let
the
me
table.
come back
The
to
Oba brothers will share their
Mr.
own.
Fatunke now. We saw what led, the events that preceded the protest. We saw how policies were made. We saw how rulings were made, restricting protesters to certain spaces. We saw the involvement of traditional leaders and religious leaders as well. On Saturday, that was supposed to be the culmination of the 10-day protest. In Lagos here, we saw the presence of police personnel. A friend who visited the Ojota area could count 37 police vans on one side, 47 on another side. It was, the police presence there was one that you cannot avoid noticing. Do you think there will be any successful protest ever again in Nigeria? What do you think the thoughts of some Nigerians that this administration seems to be gagging Nigerians? What do you make of that thought? And do you think there will be any successful outcry by masses in Nigeria ever again?
I go back to my message. This particular protest was 80% successful.
Do you think Nigerians are being gagged? Forced to keep quiet? Not even have their voices
80%
heard?
successful without necessarily having to throw bomb and mortars, because it has
What do you
sent
make of
tremors.
the ethnic lines being drawn?
I am not going to be drawn into ethnic line coloration, Tinubu, B, and all that. I am saying
We saw
that
individuals harass Nigerians. In
I am
marketplaces.
saying that we have the Nigerian project to be or not to be. So it has something to do with tribal lines.
Even when some people have called for some people to leave a particular state.
All I am making is these are adjuncts to the fact that the Nigerian project is faulty from the onset.
What can be done to fix it then?
Let's all get to a drawing table. Let's listen to the patriots. Because whether you are Igbo, whether you are Yoruba, whether you are Hausa Fulani, whether you are military or whatever it is, the Nigerian project has to get the Nigerian people in appropriate plebiscites to take a, if you do an election.
But the patriots did
Today,
say that there should be,
I am
the
afraid.
constitution should be looked at.
Yes,
Maybe
well,
revisit the 1963 constitution.
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Do you think this president would want to do anything to rejig the constitution?
Again, it goes beyond. You see, the challenge I have is this president, that president.
The buck stops on his table.
Table, yeah.
He's the president.
But okay, so why do I say it's 30%? Why do you think Bola Tinubu is beginning to, even if you call it cosmetics, things that are not being done before? Why do you think the state governors are doing what they are doing? In a journey of 1,000 miles, you start by the steps you should have taken. We almost realize the fact, and let me just put it, I'm not interested in whatever. Do I think President Bola Tinubu is going to accede that the Nigerian nation, all the talk about Nigerian nation unity is not negotiable? Nigeria is falling by the side. It has no choice.
You think he
No,
doesn't?
I believe, you know, I know, we all know. Nigeria has no choice but to get back to the drawing table, and that is the only way. When Mr. Kwili was saying that, look, the first thing is, let's raise our hands. I've raised my hand here, irrespective of whatever, Tinubu or whatever.
How very
I've
visible.
raised my hand here to say the Nigerian project, by what I see, is not harboring a future for my children and my children's children. I know that for sure. So we need to restructure.
How very visible do you believe that this present administration can in any way move forward to the direction that you're mentioning just now?
Well, if they don't move forward in that direction, then they move backward, and that will be their duodenum.
All right, Barrister Darlington.
Pure and simple. You know that, I know that, we all know that. And for your information, whether they pretend or they don't pretend, they know it very well.
Barrister Darlington, we're looking at the issue of, calling for a referendum. Now, according to Mr. Fatoke, he said that that's the only way Nigeria can actually move forward. But we know that just to talk about how bad governance have been bedeviling Nigerians, protesters that come up to protest will be restricted in some areas where they know the protests will gain momentum. We're being restricted to, a particular space so that, I believe the reason for that, according to some people, were that they wouldn't want what happened in 2020 to repeat itself again. But we also heard how they're being suppressed in some ways too, for their voice not to be heard. Do you really think that the present administration will look towards having a referendum for Nigerians' voice to be heard?
You see, most times people don't learn from history. That is the problem. I have said this severally, that when you look at the Russian Revolution and the French Revolution, what caused it? Hunger. The Talakawas were disenchanted. Hunger. And when they went into the street, it was difficult to control them. APC campaigned on restructuring. That was what even made Nigerians to listen to them. They told us they were coming to restructure Nigeria. They would do this, they would do that. And that was why people felt that PDP was bad. That was the major reason. Look at it. Since they came into office, mention one thing the APC promised Nigeria that they have fulfilled. Just one. From Buhari to Tinubu. Nobody is talking about restructuring it. Nobody. And this was their major campaign mantra.
So should Nigerians be worried as it stands?
More than worried.
All right.
More than worried, because we have seen now that they didn't come to lead Nigeria to the paradise they promised. They all come to exploit Nigeria and to collect whatever they can. Just like Buhari have done his own and went away. Tinubu is here. You see what we are hearing from the oil industry now, what is going on. Okay. From the refinery in Malta to other things. Yes, Tinubu kept quiet. What does that tell you? They came to make Nigeria, not to lead Nigeria. They made it work because PDP was here for 16 years. We never saw all these things now.
All right, Barrister, we'd like you to hold on and also be with us as we move to the second topic of conversation this morning because of time. And I'm happy you made mention of the oil and gas sector, because that is what we'll be looking at. Obasanjo, the former president of Nigeria, says that Shell refused Nigeria's refinery deal during his administration, and this was as a result of corruption. We'll dive into this after this quick break. Just stay with us.